Welcome to Grew with Portia, the podcast that uncovers the hidden treasures within grief. I'm your host, Portia the producer, and I'm inviting you to join me on a transformative journey where we will exchange laughter, of course the best medicine of them all, reflect on cherished memories. Remember that time that the little boy grabbed my hand instead of his mother's at the amusement park? Yikes. And of course discover gratitude while navigating one of life's hardest challenges, loss. So get ready to grow with me, Portia the producer. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Grow with Portia. I am your host, Portia Booker, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to keep it with all things Grow with Portia. One of the things that I may have shared with each of you on this show is the day of my mom's transition. I noticed several things that happened. The first thing was the minute that my mom took her last breath, literally, you guys know hospital rooms are cold as morgues, no pun intended. That room heated up. You heard me say it. That room heated up. And I literally saw my mom's spirit leave from her body, and she blew me a kiss and out she went. Now, some people can say, you dreamed that? No, I didn't dream it because I know what I felt. But how many of you out there have also been in that same boat where you know what you saw, you know what you felt, but you can't fully explain it, but you know it was real? Let that sink in. So today we're going to have a more expanded conversation on those intuitive feelings when we have that yearning for connection for our loved ones who have made their transition. So today I'm joined by an amazing woman who is the author of Everyday Oracles. Welcome to Grow with Portia, Miss Ann Bollinger McQuade. Ann, how you doing today?
I'm doing so great. It's so good to be here. Thank you.
And it's an honor. I knew that this conversation is always needed, especially right now where there's so much going on in the world, right? I'm not going to go into all the things, whether it's the social media, whatever you might call it. But as I brought up in the beginning, all of us yearn for that connection, right? All of us know what we experienced, whether society wants to tell us it was a dream, you didn't see it, but we know what we felt. We know what we saw. We know what we heard. And for you, I know when I did some digging on you, you shared that your own intuition at one point led you to a life-saving decision. Can you share with our audience what that decision was? And also, what was that intuitive wording or notion that gave you the trust to say, okay, I'm going to do this? I didn't just hear this for no reason.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm very happy to start there. The intuitive hit, well, let's call it that. We all have intuitive hits. Sometimes we listen, sometimes we don't. But what happened to me, I was well along the path. My journey is to look at all the extra dimensions that are around us and recognize them and count them in for what they're trying to say, try to catch them. So I was doing all that, but this one saved my life because I had this sense, it was that voice that has no voice. I wish I could quote who said that, but that voice that said, get a mammogram. And
Mm.
then it said, get a mammogram. And like it continued. I listened to, you know how when you know to listen and then you have times that I didn't do that. I won't. In a very short period of time, I was getting a mammogram. I got a mammogram. Breast cancer was growing in my right breast, and I had it taken care of. It was minuscule. This was I am not good at remembering names of things, but it was a type of cancer that would have moved quickly. I listened to that. All kinds of things happened there. It saved my life. And I went, wait, something else is happening here. The universe is really interacting with me. I'm not just seeing signs and symbols and all. Look, the universe, that voice, mine, where that came from, the universe is protecting me. So I then started to see a new light, and it's like the universe is designed to respond to our needs. So that birthed basically book one was in work, but it birthed the formula for how these personal oracles operate. And so we have a formula for people if they want to write this down or find it somewhere. Um, there's a need, our need. There's what's the delivery system? The delivery system was my intuition. What's the message? Get your breast cancer diagnosis. And so that was the message, was to save my life. So when we think we have something, if we want to break it down, I think in it for all of us, really, it's hard to go, well, anybody I've ever talked to, it's hard to not go, oh, is that my imagination? Did I like what you did I dream that? That was I have a son, that used to be his favorite saying when he was little, or maybe I dreamed it, but to see, and maybe we did. Dreams are good too. I don't want to get up on a side road there, but I just know that through all of these, this book that is out, this book so that we're talking about today it came out in 13. So it's been around and it's been healing everything. We have to put the book together. We have 175 stories in there. So if someone wants to look at affirmations of ways that these messages that people are getting, we are getting them. It's paying attention to these messages. So that is that intuitive hit. Let me see, wait, there's more here than just getting a sign.
Oh,
It's a purposeful sign sent by the universe.
and I love the formula because I'm somebody, I just said this to one of my clients earlier, that I use algebra every day, right?
Oh,
One of my favorite, if you want to call it equations, is y equals mx plus b, right? I use that every single day in some form of solving a problem.
beautiful.
And when I think about what you mentioned about listening, right? Did I imagine that? Like, I hear this voice telling me, go get a mammogram. That reminds me of, there was several years ago, I was sitting in a church. I was attending an co-worker's um kid's funeral. And what was crazy, talk about divine messages. I was miserable at the job that I had, and literally it was only me and one other person sitting in the pew that I was in. And I heard God tell me, Portia, you're done. And I'm like, I didn't
Beautiful.
hear that. I'm like, and I'm looking around because there's nobody else close to me in close
Right,
proximity. But
right.
then I heard it again, Portia, you're done. And I'm like, okay. Then I heard it a third time, Portia, you're done. You will not go back to work on Monday. You will leave your keys, clean out your office over the weekend, and not return. And I did that. And I think for me, and it's that rule of three sometimes, right? Like, because
Yes,
the minute that you take notice, take inventory, because you
yes.
hear it the first time, like, okay, I don't know if I believe this.
I love that.
Then the second time, you're like, okay, there's something to this, right? There's some legitimacy here, the reason why I'm hearing it a second time. But then the third time was more of the, if you want to call it, the GPS coordinates on
Oh,
what to do next, right?
perfect.
And I'm
Yes.
curious, Anne, from your perspective, grief and intuition have something in common. And I'm curious for our audience, what's your take on what grief and intuition have in common? And also, why do you think we tend to notice more when we're in a season of grief from some form of transition in our life?
Wow, I've never thought of it. That's a great question. I've never thought about it. I'm wondering with all of us if, oh, this is going big, isn't it? If grief puts us in a state of vulnerability, whether we're acknowledging it or not, if it gets us out of our normal, busy, whatever, and grief becomes this, I'm now just, this is the first time I've thought this grief is like a messenger with a megaphone that stuff can get through because we've all got whatever arts, we're not vulnerable. Then you get through the vulnerability into the grief, and then you're like, okay, and you can't deny. I think maybe that might be another thing. I'm do not work to the extent you do in grief. You're so beautifully grounded in that. But it makes sense to me that grief is kind of conditions you up to be maybe more open. Then we've got to do the rest. I like your three. There's probably three things that do say first you have to be weakened, you not weakened, but more vulnerable. And then you have to hear it, and then it has to be. But I do agree with you that there are these like a formula, you and your algebra and everything. There are formulas. I'm not going to get off track very far. Numerology. Who knows about? I don't know anything about numerology, just enough to be dangerous. And I look it up when I want to know. There are codes within the universe
Hmm.
that are underneath everything. And so when we care, and like you are tuned in to do that, you can even validate that way and find something that takes you through. Like I'm imagining like a little thread or like a little sound wave being open to hear. But I guess my first thought on that is that grief makes us magnificently vulnerable.
Yeah, I mean, in the way I kind of envision it too, and is grief is kind of like its own funnel, right? Because
Yes,
when you open up a funnel, you can add so many things to it, right? Let's say if you're counting change and you're trying to get them into those little coin counter
right.
things to take them to the bank,
Yeah.
right? That funnel, you're funneling all the pennies, all the quarters, all the dimes, nickels. And so grief is kind of that same way is you've been broken open, so you're open to receive something because you're looking for that grounding again. You're
Yes.
looking for that foundation. So I think with grief and intuition, I think they go hand in hand because people who are grieving are very intuitive. They know when you're serious about saying, "Hey, I'm sorry for your loss." I always say I'm sending my love your way. How can I support you? They know when you're being genuine and when you're just, pardon my French, blowing smoke up their butt or
Right.
just regurgitating what society tends to say. And
Yeah.
so that's what I would think is how grief and intuition kind of go hand in hand is grief is that funnel,
Mhm.
intuition is that grounding force for them to know what I need, what I want is available. I just don't know how it's going to come to me, even though I know that my person, whatever their grief may be, it may not even be a physical person, it could also be a pet too.
Right.
Whatever that transition that has transpired in their life, they know intuitively there's something more. There's something more to this, even though society likes to, like what I talked about, doctor it all up and
Yep.
send you on your mighty way. And you brought up about numerology. I'm not going to touch on numerology too much because I am somebody who
Okay.
follows numbers.
Yeah.
But I'm curious for our audience, can you share with us some unique signs in your own life?
Well, I will share some. I'm being blocked by. Can I put a pause on that and share something I just found that is going to be good for you, everybody who's listening, I hope. I just ran on to Casey Musgrave's song. I don't know if
Mm.
you know it, but it's called Cardinal.
Oh,
And
wow.
she has written this song, someone that I saw it on CBS Sunday morning this last week. And it is about a sign. And what she does is she had someone pass, and then Cardinal kept showing itself up so that wherever she was going, and she identifies exactly what I have experienced, and I think so many of us are experiencing these things. This is nothing new. I think that, as long as I've read anything, there are signs that are coming up. So ones that, oh my goodness, ones that I experience are certainly the cardinal. I'm going to go back to that because that's what's stuck in my mind right now. But my family, growing up, we had, when my uncle died, a cardinal. If I don't care what the family event was, the cardinal was there. And we all looked for it, was validated. We realized that Uncle Herb was still there. So, wow, I'm trying to think of, I'm being flooded right now by personal oracles. I guess this is trying to bring me into in book one, which is Everyday Oracles. My husband passed uh in 14, and we've stayed in touch. Like your, here's going to come a bunch of things that I can say are signs that maybe some of our listeners can um, benefit from. You said you were in the hospital room when your mother
Hmm.
passed. Well, I was in bed with my husband. He'd had a stroke in the hospital. He'd had a stroke 6 months early, tried so hard to stay in his body, and he couldn't. So I was laying with them. I did give them permission to take him off of the machines that had been supporting him for a while. And he stayed. You had the sense of warmth. Here's some things for people that have lost to tune in. I had this sensation that he was still there. And I tuned into my body, not even on purpose. I wasn't looking. I was in that traumatic situation where love of my life had finally couldn't, the body was not viable. I felt a tingling, goosebumpy, subtle, and Kenneth hasn't left. Since then, I have a medium that a good friend, a colleague that's a medium. I'd called her and said maybe because I could tell he was there, but is this a new way? So I had called her a few days later. She called me back, and Kenneth said through her, tell Ann that I'm going to channel a book through her. Um, and so many other things, but I was like, what does that even mean? I know about certain channels. I don't think that that doesn't feel, I mean, I knew it felt right. Kenneth would not have told her to tell me. As time passed, I asked him, what's my role? He said, scribe. Kenneth's an Englishman, and he's a very well-educated English. He was chief engineer on the first space shuttle, involved in GPS that I laughed to myself when you mentioned GPS a while ago. Very technical Englishman. And I'm this spiritual, he's supported every bit of anything I've ever done, read everything I've written, articles, everything. And so now, how natural that he would, wow, in fact, right now I can really feel him. I guess I'll can stop that part of the story and say to any of you that are feeling a tingling in your body, uh, there's a book out that called The Afterlife Frequency. Are you aware of it?
Mm-mm.
Okay, that came out after Kenneth left his body. I call it shut down. I don't know what to call it. There's dying and then there's staying around. He's also involved with all kinds of people. This book documents all, it's navigating that uncharted territory that we're talking about. So I guess right now I'm kind of the thing that is overwhelming my mind. And I jumped in a place I didn't know I was going to go, but Kenneth's involved with all kinds of different people, rainbows that he will make a rear view mirror appear in a rainbow of our friends Cindy and Wally who are driving. Uh,
Aw.
Smells for for people that pick up good smells. There's an afterlife frequency smell that appears to be like a cigar, a really sweet cigar. There are all of these ways that our people can continue. Hawks, birds. Well, we've talked about cardinals, but I get hawks a lot. Um, I'm gonna leapfrog a little bit. I hope that you can follow me. My son passed last year. My son
Mm.
was grown, had had heart issues, and he was really involved. He was really involved. He really was fascinated with what's going on with me, got it, talked to me a lot about it. Banker, led groups on empowerment. So Bill, when he passed the next morning, because my husband would text my son, I would be texting and all of a sudden I'd get this certain little thing that would come in there and I didn't do it. I mean, I think we're all having stuff like this happen. Something
Mm.
appears, it's not yours. It did start somewhere, not AI. Let's not go there. But so, no. So, Bill passed. I happened to be connected to his wife. Was in Tennessee. His wife and I were on the phone as he passed. And the next morning, within 12 hours of Bill's his name, Bill Nye, Bill, I got this. I thought it was a thought. It turned out to be a text. I'm calling it a thought text. Um, he said, I heard it's all good. I went to his memorial in Nashville, and he was a golfer, guy's guy, you know. Uh, more of his golfing buddies that got up to speak mentioned Bill's phrase, it's all good. I got it 12 hours after his body shut down. I'd not heard, he had not been anything, he'd shared that with me. So I guess I'm offering it from me to everyone to claim it if it's yours, to, or yeah, claim it, to recognize it and go, wait, I'm not the only one here. I know this person that was saying all these things that don't seem to tie in to anything that I know about. Well, and you and I talked very briefly, and I talked about I like to encourage people to create their own body of evidence when we are getting these messages from where we don't even know what they're. Write them down, take a photo, record them. Gosh, don't we almost always have our phones with us? So somewhere where they record and put them in one place. Years ago, I've been doing so long sticker note shoebox method. That's how I started thinking about them. You know, it was before all the cell phone stuff. It was like, write it down, put it in one place and forget, don't keep, but keep review it when you want to, but you go back to it. You just aren't having to listen to you or me or anybody else out there. You're going, wait, I remember, oh, look how that connects to that. And so I love the idea of you know, the way that you are doing, putting all that information out there for people to tuck away for when it will, you know, yours. I know you are such a blessing to this world to work in the air arena of grief. Uh, for people, whether we get it at the moment or not, if we can tuck it away, or not even, maybe we just will tuck it away, but if we purposefully tuck it away, it can feed us later.
I think too, and I kind of chuckled a little bit about the Cardinals because I see Cardinals a lot.
Yeah.
I see Hawks. I can always tell when it's my dad because my dad was somebody who gambled a lot. So I often find lottery tickets, like I found one today.
I
I
love it.
often know it's my dad. My mom, I can tell when she's visited because I'll smell her perfume or something in the house, even though we haven't sprayed it or anything.
Yep.
Same with my great grandmother, or even just random little things. I'll be out and I've encountered people who have either the same name as my mother or father. One time I was at a wedding where a lady had the exact same name as my mom. And it had only been maybe about a year since my mom had transitioned, and I was telling her about her and whatnot. And this lady grabbed my hands and she had the same grip as my mom. So I've had different experiences,
Oh,
even physically, that can't even be explained. So the signs are endless. And I always encourage people, don't think you're crazy. You know what you felt, you know what you saw,
that's
but
right.
hold on to it because I think sometimes we don't believe, we don't trust in our own judgment, in our own experiences. But I'm telling you, it's unique to each and every one of us, and it's real. It's real. Hold on to it, and remember too, not everything is gonna have meaning to everybody else. Let it be unique
Oh,
to
for
you.
sure.
Not
Yeah.
try to
Yeah.
colloquialize it or
Right.
make it a generalization because you're gonna know intuitively, just like with you, and where you got the message of get your mammogram.
And do it.
Me,
Yeah.
Portia, you're done. You just
Exactly.
know.
Exactly.
Well, Ann, this has been a beautiful conversation. We may have to do a part two.
Well,
So we're
let's
going
do
to be
that. We'll do that.
We're going to be wrapping up here soon. But before we conclude, Anne, if our audience wants to connect with you, get a copy of your book, Everyday Oracles, or if you're doing some type of speaking or presentation that our audience can come and see you, please let us know how we can connect with you.
Thank you. I would love to do that. I wish I were doing, I kind of stopped all that when COVID started. I'm not doing the appearances things, but what we do is we have we have a team. So we've got the Everyday Extra Dimension team. You would love the women. We've all been together in different, we've all been, spirits just been moving us around in different, the editor or the person, yeah, the editor of the book that is out. She's part of the team. So we have social media. So we have Facebook, we have Instagram. A couple of really amazing women do those, and we put out other people's information on there. We want this to be a center for that expands out, and I stopping myself from going into some of them, but it's not just the work that we are doing, but showing other worthy things that we bring into that. The website is called everydayextradimensions.com. Well, that was easy. I should have been able to do that. But everydayextradimensions.com. We also, for fun, I've got something and I'll be brief. We have one that's been up for 20 years. Anybody that wants to mess around on their cell phone or their desktop, whatever, it's oraclesinthesky.com. This was done back in 2000, and this one has got, it's so different. Now, the one that you'll see that I gave you first, that one is done within the last few years. There's a whole look. This other one's deep. You can go around, you can find some of the same things, but they are out there. So I think that we all end up at the right place. Whatever it is that we're seeking out. And if not, I really believe I'm slipping off of what we're doing, but back into the universal us. But I believe the universe will keep showing it to us. I think that's another uh, basic way the universe works is and in a good way and a bad way. If you didn't get it this time, we're showing it to you again. And also, like what? But I would have slapped myself, but maybe not. But I believe that I know for unequivocally that the universe is designed to support our needs. And I'm giving you the acronym. NDM is Personal Oracles Need Delivery System Message. One of the people I podcasted with, a man, gave us the acronym NDM. So if you're trying to decode your own things, there's your acronym.
NDM.
NDM, Need Delivery System Message.
Mm.
Such a joy to meet you.
Same here, Anne. Well, everybody, as Anne mentioned, you can find her on social media. You can find the website as well. I'll put it in the show notes where you can visit it. And I'd say to each and every one of you, whether you've experienced the transition, a physical one of someone in your life, a pet, even if you're changing through lifetimes, right? Some of us are leaving corporate spaces and becoming entrepreneurs. Be aware of the signs around you because the universe is always responding in some unique way. I refer to the universe as God. For everybody else, you can refer to it as whatever you want. You know the relationship that you have. But I just encourage you to continue to stay open and be open. Well, everybody, that was Miss Ann Bollinger McQuade that you heard from today on Grew Up Portia. And that concludes our conversation. And until next time, everybody, peace and hair grease, everyone.